All right, let's start with those Valpo men. A season ago, they were the darlings in St. Louis as Roger Powell's bunch got on a heater for a couple of days and made it all the way to Saturday in St. Louis, beat UIC, beat Northern Iowa, and 15-19 overall, 6-14, 11th place in the Valley. But again, got hot and things were had the favorites on the ropes a little bit. One of the favorites there on the ropes. When you look back at last year, how much of a boost can a get to Saturday in St. Louis give you when 2 weeks later your roster has been completely decimated?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good moment. I think it was fun. I certainly enjoyed myself from covering it and seeing slowly but surely more fans show up in St. Louis. It was great. And then slowly but surely the entire roster disintegrate with the exception of Justice McNair. He's the only returner from last year. Jaden Watson is also a returner, but he's out for the year with a foot injury. So he redshirted last year. He'll be out again this year. So it's Justice McNair and friends. And now yesterday, Thursday, Valpo men's basketball held their media day. And, you know, that came up a little bit, you know, that run that they went on. And Roger Powell said, look, that got us in the spotlight a little bit, and it allowed us to probably get a few better transfers. And he's referencing Owen Deese and Isaiah Barnes, two guys that have come in, D1 transfers that have come in that they have really high expectations for. And I mean, Barnes, a former basically top 100 recruit out of high school, went to Michigan, ultimately ended up at Tulsa. You know, I don't know if Isaiah Barnes comes to Valpo if not for making that run. That remains to be seen, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it was a fun moment, but it really doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, right? Like other teams might be able to point to building blocks that they put together last year, but Valpo doesn't have that. You know, one of their assistant coaches is gone. Their director of player development is gone. You know, again, let me give a shout out to Lubos Barton, a friend who was named the Czech national team coach. I know you've got that on the bottom line here. Just awesome, you know, so really, really appreciate that. And you know, such a good guy. But you know, they've got AJ Moyes gone, and you bring in Jesse McClung, who brought in a lot of players with him. Jesse had been the head coach at St. Mary of the Woods, and you know, it would be nice to even pay any modicum of attention to last year, but it's irrelevant.
Okay. Well,
I mean, it just is. It's just the world we live in, right?
I get it.
And Jeff, I will also say this. It's colored my approach in looking into this year because I'm not even like they're not building toward anything, are they? Like, I mean, is any team building toward anything with the exception of building toward Arch Madness? It's, you know, like if you're, you know, they got a Brennan JUCO point guard, Mark Brown, who I think is going to be phenomenal this year, right? I think he's going to be a really, really good player, probably Valpo's leading scorer. If he plays as well as he's supposed to play, or I think he's going to play, he's probably not coming back. Right. Like, I mean, it's just like, I mean, you'd like to hope, but all the metrics we have pointing to it say that he won't. And so it's, that glass is half empty right now of like, what does all of this mean to build, to look in the past and look in the future? You just got to be locked in to this right here.
I think the only counter to that is what you're building is historical equity, even in the short term of, listen, we have lost our two guys off of last year's team who, by the way, were all, you know, they were the freshmen of the year in this conference, and they have gone on to Wake Forest in Cooper Schwieger, and All Right has gone on to Xavier. And it's like, okay, I think it just it shows Roger Powell and staff they've been able to find guys and be able to bring them in, and hopefully you're like, look, it's hard to be able to push a narrative to recruits or maybe not even recruits, but your fan base of like, we're going to bring these guys in, we're going to have them forever. It's like, we're going to bring them in, we're going to get the most out of them. Obviously, you've gotten a ton out of these guys, and then they're going to go. You just hope you've got enough other pieces around those big guys that you can catch that lightning in a bottle year. And then, look, we've done well. You've done well. You wish them well on their way out the door if that's what they choose to do. But the fact that there is enough recent success from individuals, and hey, we got to Saturday last year, that yes, the object is a little shinier in Valpo, that Roger Powell is dangling out in front of these recruits, that this is a place you want to come.
I agree. And something that's interesting to think about. And first of all, we look at Valpo a little bit. They've been in the league for 8 years now. They've made it to Saturday twice. They've made it to Sunday once. So I mean, they've had some level of success. They've also not finished with a winning record at any point in their time in the Valley. So certainly a marathon, not a sprint. One of the things that I think is so interesting about this landscape that we're in right now is, so on October 11th, Valpo is going to do an open practice called Grit and Grill. They're going to do a little, morning practice ahead of a football game here, which will be a really kind of cool event. That will be the first time the Valpo fans have had a chance to meet these guys, right? Mm-hmm. They have been here since the last week of May. Like I was talking to Brody Whitaker yesterday in Media Day, and I said, and he's a diehard Pacers fan, and I asked him a question. I said, Brody, when you were on your visit here, the Pacers were getting ready to start the playoffs, basically. And when you committed, or when you moved in, the Pacers were in the playoffs. He's in the middle of summer workouts when Halliburton tears his ACL, or was it Achilles? Achilles,
yeah.
And like the Pacers will already be into their next season playing games before he ever really truly puts on a Valpo uniform. Like that's how long the offseason is. But Whitaker and all these guys have been here for so long. And so I know that there's this idea that all these guys only come in for 4 or 5 months or whatever the season is. These guys have been putting in work for 6 months already, 5 months or whatever it is. And it's like you put that picture of Cooper Schwieger up, and I mean no disrespect to Cooper. Like I haven't thought about Cooper Schwieger in forever, because it has been forever since he was here, right? And Cooper and all, and I wish them well, I really do. But like those guys are so far in the past that, because I have seen, not daily, but I've seen a lot of all these other guys, and it kind of blows my mind when I realize that Rock Chaney has yet to play a game for Valpo, and most Valpo fans that will be cheering him on have never seen this guy. The photos, for whatever reason, aren't up, and the guys got here in May, and it's just to me it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition of college basketball now. These guys are all new, but they've also been here for half a year already, it feels like.
So the key departures, as we see there, Cooper Schwieger already. Yeah. Aside from the 31.5 points or so that is going to fall off of the offensive side of things, what's the biggest void that will be left by that collective duo that Coach Powell's hoping to fill this year?
Oh, I mean, well, obviously that collective duo is huge. I think the one that we're really overlooking is Darius D'Avero's departure. I mean, Cooper and all were the glitz and the glamour of that team, but Valpo fell apart against Bradley on Saturday in the tournament when Darius went out. Darius was the heartbeat of the team, had been the heartbeat of the team through the first 2 years of the Roger Powell era. Starting point guard for in and out of the lineup, but played his role when his number was called. I think they're going to miss him a lot more than people are probably thinking about. Because you look at Cooper, you look at all, and justifiably so. Yeah. But Darius was a 4-year program guy, and he may very well be the last 4-year scholarship program guy.
Absolutely.
Which is tough to see. So for me, I think some consistency and continuity that you would get with Darius. I think the risk or reward of all. I mean, there were games where he would score 30 and Valpo would lose by 40. There would also be games where he would score 30 and Valpo would, wow the nation, which they did. We'll see how they do at their next stops. I think you're not going to see just 2 guys leading the charge every night this year. it may very well be a different guy every single night. It's probably to a lesser extent what Murray State's going to have with just a ton of different pieces.
Yeah.
Valpo brought in 4 guys to their press conference yesterday for media day, and I don't know that any 4 of those guys are going to start.
Mm-hmm.
There could have been 5 other guys out doing photos that might start, and I think they've got a lot of questions about who the guys are going to be that are going to be in that Cooper all position, and I don't know that they have just 2 guys. I think it'll be the sum of the parts kind of deal.
As we just hammer baseball analogies, you had 2 home run hitters last year, but now you're hopeful. You just got a bunch of dudes that can hit doubles. That maybe it's
look at the 2 best records in baseball. They're teams that get on base. They're the teams that lead in batting average, right? They're teams that, like, we can look at all of the metrics out there about hitting home runs or striking out to really take the analogy further, right? And say, let's do a stars and scrubs if we're building a fantasy baseball team of get the 2 high priced talent and then build around. But just give me guys that can get on base.
Yeah.
Give me Scott Hatteberg. Give me Dave Justice. Give me Jeremy Giambi, Moneyball, I guess I could say. So now the question I have is, some of these guys, the Isaiah Barneses of the world and the Owen Deeses of the world. I mean, Isaiah Barnes has got a really gaudy resume. I'm fascinated to see how it works out. There's another Moneyball quote with baseball. If he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit good? And I think Isaiah Barnes is going to hit good, right? But I just think that is an interesting way to look at things here. Yes, Valpo had 2 home run hitters. Give me a bunch of guys that can do singles and doubles and extend the inning, and that would be, I think, better for Valpo this year.
We talk with most schools about key returners. We have key returner, as you said, in Justice McNair. We don't want to forget about Joe Vick and Nick Lombardi down there as well. But in terms of Justice, what do you think his role is going to be as the lone returner? There's always some sort of cachet maybe that goes with that. But look, he's a guy that averaged less than 5 a game last year. I mean, is there a role for him to step into that's a little more significant this year for the Beacons?
Yeah, look, people want to compare Justice and All last year because they were incoming freshmen. All played at a different level his senior year, playing at the prep level, right? He was playing against different kind of guys. He had just a little bit more experience coming in. There were games last year where Justice McNair single-handedly led Valpo to a victory. There were also games where Justice was not relevant to the team that was on the floor. These are things that he said out loud yesterday in media day, right? He said, look, I'm not a freshman anymore. I'm a sophomore. It is my time to kind of step up and be more consistent. And Roger Powell, he beams when he talks about Justice. He thinks, I mean, this was his first recruit that came in. I mean, the day after Roger Powell got the job, Justice McNair was committing to Valpo. Like, I think he's going to play a huge role this year. Does he start? I think there's a question about how the lineups are going to be, right? I mean, I think Mark Brown starts at point guard. I think there's a role for Justice there at the 2, maybe. I think you'll see Isaiah Barnes and Owen Deese and then one of the bigs out there. And so we'll see what if Justice starts or Justice is first guard off the bench. But one thing I can tell you is that Justice has thrived in the elder statesman role, even though there's guys that are 3 or 4 years older than him on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He has really, really taken pride in doing what Darius did when Roger Powell got the job. As soon as there was a recruit that committed, Darius got their phone number, called him up. Hey, what do you need? What do you have questions about? Whatever. That's Justice right now. Justice is a guy that basically said, look, I'm the only one who knows what it's like around here. So I'm going to set the Valpo standard. And I think that he's embraced that role and guys will build off of that.
You've talked about Isaiah Barnes coming in from Tulsa. Was it Michigan as well, I believe, correct? And then Owen Deese at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. The 3 guys that I'm interested in from sort of off the path in terms of additions. You mentioned Mark Brown Jr. coming from Snow College, 61st, I think was the ranking in the JUCO recruiting coming out of last year. Sean Topola, is that
you tell me, and then we'll both know.
Big
Sean.
I'm riding with Big Sean right now. Just a condominium with feet, 6'10", 245, 14 and a half, 12 and a half at St. Mary of the Woods. And then Carter Hopoi.
Yeah.
Hopoi. I'm nailing it this morning. 6'11", lean, but out of New Zealand, has a lot of international experience there. Out of those three, who's maybe the one that you've get a sense now, a month out, that might have the most immediate impact from
I think Mark Brown. I think Mark Brown will be the starting point guard. I think Mark Brown will be phenomenal. I think he's going to be really good. Look, this is tough to put it this way, but he was top 60 to 61st JUCO. I don't think Isaiah Stafford was that high, and Stafford was really good.
Right.
So I think Brown is going to come in. I think he's going to play an immediate role. He has got it's funny when I look at the picture you've got up there. It doesn't do justice to how broad his shoulders are. He is a bowling ball, and he is very reminiscent of a Valpo player that is from Chicago from about 10 years ago, a little bit like 12 years ago, by the name of Levante Doherty. Levante is a Chicago kid, went to South Florida to start his career, and then, ended up, back at Valpo and played really well. And Mark Brown has the same body. So what does Roger Powell go out and do? He hires Levante Doherty to join the staff, and Levante is now working with Mark Brown on a daily basis. And Levante, Levante, there isn't a better role model for a Valpo basketball player than Levante Doherty, and Mark Brown is lapping up the information every single day. So I think you're going to see a lot from him. Now, Big Sean, Carter, Kobe Walker, JT Pettigrew, Tucker Tornada. This is size that Valpo has brought in. Not to mention Isaiah Barnes and Owen Deese, who've got less size and length. This is what Valpo had to be. This is what they had to become, was a longer, lengthier team. If you are going to go up against Chase Walker, if you are going to go up against the bigs that Murray State has, or Belmont has, or Drake has, or Bradley has, right? You need bigger size. And Kaspar Sepp was not getting it done for Valpo in terms of that. No one was going to work harder than that kid. It's great that he's at Cornell now, but Valpo needed more size. They could not trot out an undersized big and just hope that hard work was going to take care of that. So now they've got some girth, some size in there. Big Sean, Kobe Walker are teddy bears off the court. They're the nicest guys. They are, you want to talk about guys who are just so happy for the experience that they're going through. It is a joy to see those guys every day. And then they get on the court. I wouldn't want to guard them. I wouldn't want to touch them. I wouldn't want to have the ball while they're guarding me. And they got 10 fouls to use between Kobe and Sean. I have a feeling all 10 of them are going to be used. And the ice baths will be needed for teams when they play Kobe and Sean.
There's no bonus getting to take those fouls home with you. Schedule-wise, man, it is rare at this level that you have 11 non-conference games and you get to play 7 of them in your own barn. And yes, you've got some big games, guarantee games at Kentucky, at Marquette, at Northwestern. But this is everything with me with scheduling. It's all about metrics. And this is a metric friendly schedule for a team that is, obviously you got one guy back. It is question marks abound, but it's you have Eastern Illinois and Nichols and Bryant and Southern Indiana and Western Michigan. Man, it's quad four. And those are teams that, look, you can take care of business at home. It's just, and we'll talk about this with Courtney Boyd's bunch here in a bit. It's you just get some confidence early to just go get some wins and get your legs under you before, as we talked about a few minutes ago, you get into an absolute meat grinder of a conference schedule right before Christmas.
Yeah, there's 4 games that are going to be really tough. You got Kentucky, you've got Marquette, you've got Northwestern, you've got UNC Wilmington. I mean, those 4 games are going to be pretty tough games. UNC Wilmington's a really good program, right?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, you got to hope that you take care of business in those other games. And, I mean, playing 3 bye games is not exactly something that, Valley teams want to be doing, but you kind of have to do it if you are trying to build resources for your program a little bit. Love the fact they're getting a chance to go to Kentucky because it's Kentucky. And, I'm talking to the guys yesterday about what games stand out on their schedule, and they're all elated to go to Kentucky. It is the blue blood of college basketball, right? And so you've got that. Then, Marquette for me, I mean, from Milwaukee, like I get to go into the bowels of the house that Giannis built and run around, and hopefully the Bucks are around that week and they decide to take in a college basketball game, So, I think, and there's good, you've got Western Michigan, which is they should play that game every year. It's 2.5 hours away. It's a great MAC rival. There you go. Yeah. And then you're right. The Valley schedule. I mean, it is, you start at home with the team that I think is going to win the league, Murray State. And then you go to Northern Iowa and you go to Southern Illinois. And I guess, you're on the road for New Year's Eve, but you get some of your longer trips out of the way early when classes aren't happening, which is nice, right? And that's an advantage right there. You get 2 of your 7. And I actually think I'm trying to think of when classes start for Valpo. They might start the second week of January, but even then you get the game at Murray out of the way earlier as well, right? And again, I think Murray is a team that's going to be standing there at the end, and so if you're playing them twice within your first 6 conference games, I'd rather play them earlier in the year than later in the year because I think they're going to gel together really well. There is a stretch that is really nice for Valpo. They play at Belmont on January 13th. Then they come home, and they don't leave again until January 31st when they play Indiana State. They've got 3 home games there, UNI, Southern Illinois, and Belmont during that stretch. Kind of odd they play Belmont on the 13th and then the 28th, kind of 2 games in between. But Valpo gets to sleep in their own bed. You talked right before I came on about maybe the difficulty of when can you find time to practice? When can you find time to get better? That 2-week stretch will be the key to the season for Valpo in terms of being able to stay at home, being able to get practice time in, not having to travel back and forth and things like that. And it'll set them up for a tough, February where they go to at Indiana State, at Bradley, home for Evansville, at Drake, at Illinois State. You got 4 road games out of 5. And it's unavoidable now. The Valley used to be so good at having home away, home away, home away. And I think the idea now is like, let's try to have a little bit more travel, not partners, but at least save money on, you get them on the road, and so, it'd be interesting to see how this all shakes out.
Well, we got the official Missouri Valley Conference preseason poll. Valpo tied for 6th. The Blue Ribbon preseason poll has the Beacons coming in at number 10. What is your optimism that they can outperform that number?
I picked them 9th, but it's throwing spaghetti against the wall. It really is, right? Like, Illinois State's like the runaway pick to win the league because they bring
that, though, and I said this the other day. I was shocked that Murray State got even 4 first place votes. That and maybe Northern Iowa got as many as they did. But the fact that anybody picked outside of Illinois State and Northern Iowa shocked me, especially when you could vote for your own teams. So it wasn't like, well, we have to pick somebody, like the Illinois State contingent was stuck somewhere. So sorry to interrupt, but they have no players back, and I appreciate it. But it's like all we banged on is since April that all this retention in Normal and all this retention in Cedar Falls. And it's like, oh, by the way, the team over here with 15 new guys, they're going to be the picks.
Here's my thing. I want to just say this. I think it is well established on record how much I enjoy Illinois State, their fan base, Redbird Twitter. I make a point to hang out with them all the time at Arch Madness, things like that.
Let me get my seatbelt on here. Go
ahead. I think it's well established. I have a lot of respect for that program. Ryan, excellent coach. A lot of respect for that guy. I think Chase Walker is a really, really good basketball player. I think Johnny Kinzinger is a really, really good basketball player. I think we have crowned this team because those two guys did something that seems extraordinary now, but used to be normal. They came back to school, and that should be celebrated. That should be celebrated. I'm not like, it's awesome they came back. They also went 10-10 last year in conference. Like, and I know they got other players. It's not just a two-person team. You know, I'm used to covering a two-person team. So, like, I think Illinois State's going to be there at the end. I think they're going to be in the mix at the end. But I was kind of shocked at just how much of a runaway pick they seem to be. Although I will say this, like, I don't think I could name players on half the teams in this league, and I've researched all of them, right?
Yep.
Like, it is, I couldn't tell you the Valpo guys. This is why Valpo, like, it's really easy to pick Valpo at the bottom because no one knows who these guys are.
Right.
Like, no one knows.
Why are you picking Murray first? Or, four people saying that they're first. Look, I get that there's crowning people in March. That's a whole different animal. We crowned Illinois State in April to crown them in October. Like that was this part of the process. The rest of the process obviously has to play itself out, and there's a lot to figure out from here on out. Your argument about Valpo being at the bottom because they didn't have anybody back, and it's like, and yet the Racers got first place votes. Listen, from everybody's lips to God's ears. I'll be happy in my little corner of the woods if that happens. I was shocked, especially with, look, and you hear it from corners like, hey, the Racers have, they've underperformed for 3 years, and we thought they were going to be this, and they haven't done that. And so breaking through this legacy media in the Valley, it just shocked me.
I'll say this. I think Murray State had really good PR. And I mean, kudos to you, but like even beyond that, it felt like every day for 2 straight months, they added a new player to their roster. I just brought their roster up now. I'm surprised there's only 36 people on it. I thought there were 90, And so it's like every day they added a new piece. And at one point I thought, are they going to, what do we have? Is Murray State B team the 12th team in the Valley? Like, is that what we're doing here? And so Murray State's got the same issue that Valpo's got, albeit on a different level, maybe. Can you pick a starting 5 today off that Murray State team? I don't know who they are. I mean, I'm sure Coach Miller knows who they are. I'm sure Coach Mullins knows who they are. And I'm sure the play-by-play announcer might know who they are. But to me, I just felt like there's just a lot of depth out there. But again, I want to go back. I am not trying to be critical of Illinois State. It's just we do this thing where it's like, I mean, look at Drake. We completely overlooked Drake last year. I mean, I know I did. What's a Bennett Sturtz? Never heard of a Bennett Sturtz before. Was he good at another level before he got to Drake? Yeah, he was, but whatever. We don't, like no one paid any attention to them. And they ran roughshod through the league. Who's going to be that team this year? Yeah. I picked Murray State.
Okay.
So, right. and probably if Drake doesn't do what they do last year, I'd probably pick Illinois State this year. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, they didn't even let us do a preseason all league team because we don't know any of these guys.
Right.
Like,
that was the one preseason decision.
A 20-person watch list that you might even be on. I mean, it's yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.